Thank you for joining us for 3Bs on the Law podcast, hosted by Trisha Barita, Camille Canali, and Susan Dawson. Disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only, not meant to provide legal advice, and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Also remember, laws change or they differ by jurisdiction, so this is not a substitute for seeking legal counsel in your jurisdiction on the current law applicable to you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of 3Bs on the Law. We're back today to talk about, guess what? The FFCRA, because there's been some updates. On December 27th, Congress finally, kinda, answered some of our questions and passed the Consolidated Appropriations Act. So what that act did was it extended the tax credit for voluntary FFCRA leave until March 31st of 2021, but it didn't extend the FFCRA. So now that leave is voluntary. And so I guess, as you guys know, if you're going to offer that leave, you should offer it consistently to all your employees. Don't pick and choose which employees you offer it to. And Trisha, I know you were going to talk about the first question or the last question that the DOL finally answered for us as well.
Yeah. So after, Congress came through, giving us something, because otherwise everyone, we were all looking, oh my goodness, like December, the first week of December, the second week of December, we were like, at some point, someone's going to remember this is expiring, right? It's just like all of us are thinking about it. Maybe not Congress, but, Americans were a little busy at the end of last year, right? So, okay. So they finally got it done December 27th. Then the DOL slides in to answer Q&A questions, kind of trying to give some guidance, but it really wasn't guidance for the employers, although you can interpret what exactly they mean. It was written sort of towards the Q&A of an employee. So let me just kind of give you the one that I'm going to discuss, and Susan's going to discuss the other one, but it doesn't give you much, but we'll tell you what it does say. So employee says in the DOL proposed question, I was eligible for leave under the FFCRA in 2020, but I did not use any leave. Am I still entitled to take paid sick or expanded family medical leave after December 31st, 2020? And the DOL clearly says, and this of course was our sort of New Year's Eve gift on 12/31, your employer is not required to provide you with FFCRA leave after December 31st, 2020, but your employer may voluntarily decide to provide you such leave. The obligation to provide the FFCRA leave applies from the law's effective date of April 1st through December 31st, 2020. And then all the employment attorneys breathe a sigh of relief, kind of going, okay, this dang law is finally, so it's expired and they're letting it expire. And that's what we know today. We don't know the future, but that's where we are today. And so any change, they said, would require an amendment to the FFCRA. It didn't happen. So here we are, like looking at, what is going to happen with this sort of voluntary thing? What are employers going to decide? But let me go ahead and let Susan chime in here on what our other
happens, if you use some of it and not all of it. So the question that they posed was, again, from the employee perspective, like you pointed out, Trisha, is I used 6 weeks of FFCRA leave between April 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2020, because my child care provider was unavailable due to COVID-19. My employer allowed me to take time off, but did not pay me for my last 2 weeks of FFCRA leave. Is my employer required to pay me for my last 2 weeks if the FFCRA has expired? So what this goes to is, while the requirements didn't carry in, what happens in 2020? Is that still in force? And the Department of Labor said yes, that they will enforce the FFCRA for leave taken or requested during the April 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And any complaints that are made about violations to the act during the statute of limitations, which is 2 years from the date of the violation. Or 3 years if it's willful, but essentially 2-year statute of limitation. So if there's any leave that you did not get paid for in 2020 that you were entitled to, you're still entitled to that. They still have to pay you.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. I mean, let's talk about a little bit what we know and what we don't know, because we all know there's a lot we don't know. But what do we know, ladies? We know that there's no new bucket of leave, right?
At least right now.
From what we think,
Right.
unless something different, we think that if they used all the leave, even if you voluntarily give it here in 2021, we don't think that the employee gets new leave. They don't get a new set of 2 weeks. There's nothing that indicates that would be what the law is.
Right. The option would be to provide leave for anyone who didn't use it in 2020, and it's only through the first quarter.
Exactly. Right. But what we don't know is what does that mean? Like, right. Exactly. If you dip your toe in the water and go, I'm gonna go ahead and try out this are you stuck with it through the first quarter? We don't know. Like they don't necessarily say. What do you guys think?
To me, the interesting thing is going to be those people that requested leave towards the end of the year, and that would carry over into January, and how employers are going to deal with those people. Are they going to cut it off? If they cut it off as of December 31st, they're probably going to have a lot of unhappy employees. And I think that that's just going to create a lot of employee issues potentially for that carryover period when the FFCRA expired, depending upon how the employers handle that. I think that's going to be a very tricky situation that we don't have obviously all the answers right now.
Right. From a cultural perspective,
correct.
That's a difficult decision for the business owners to make. From a legal perspective, it cuts off unless you elect to extend. And then, like Tricia was saying, one of the questions is they were very clear in that you can't say I'm gonna extend for paid sick leave, but only for people who actually have COVID, not for quarantining, not for doctor's visits, not for childcare, only if you actually have COVID. Well, no, you can't do that. You have to. It's all 6 categories of paid sick leave. But then the question is, can you just do paid sick leave and not expanded FMLA, right? Or do you have to do both? Do you have to offer both of those? And we don't have an answer to that. If you can pick and choose between those 2 specific acts, we just know that you can't pick and choose within one of those acts, because the paid sick leave and the expanded FMLA are 2 separate sections of the FFCRA.
Good point, Susan. Yeah, for people that didn't get all into it and read the law like we did, it's actually not even near each other. They didn't even keep the paid sick leave and the FMLA, expanded FMLA in the same. I don't know why they didn't put them right after each other. But anyway, there's a bunch of stuff in between them. There's a lot more stuff in the FFCRA than these 2 pieces that we're talking about. I think this is going to be another one of those ladies where we're like, hello, the Department of Labor needs to listen to our podcast and answer all our questions.
I agree.
Right.
All right, ladies, it's been a great discussion. It was great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of 3Bs on the Law. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast of 3Bs on the Law. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. We also welcome any comments. If you'd like to get in touch with us or suggest a future topic, you can email us at 3THREEBsonthelaw@gmail.com. And because we're lawyers, we need to remind you that this podcast is not meant to provide you with legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.